Now let's join our match commentators, Trevor Brooking and John Watson.
Thanks, Des, and good afternoon to all of you from Trevor and myself. North London very much a capital of cup football this weekend. 6 goals at Tottenham yesterday, and just down the road here at Highbury today, who knows what from a tie bubbling with possibilities. What we do know is the team news. For Arsenal, Steve Bold has passed a test on an ankle injury, so George Graham fields the side that maintained their unbeaten First Division record against Everton 8 days ago. Alongside Bold, 32-year-old David O'Leary, now restored to the first team, the only man there with an FA Cup winners' medal. Well, the same can be said of Gordon Strachan in the Leeds lineup, but believe me, there's a lot more to Leeds than Strachan. The other midfield players, David Batty at 4, Gary McAllister 10 and Gary Speed 11, have been firing on all cylinders. A change at number 3, Peter Haddock replacing Glyn Snowden on the left flank of the Leeds defence. Otherwise, it's the normal lineup for Howard Wilkinson, with a third ex-Arsenal player there at number 6. That's Chris White, who should feel very much at home, because his family live just across the road from the Arsenal ground, and his brother delivers the post to Highbury. So maybe a few good luck messages came in that today for Chris White. Well, it's quite an occasion. It could be one of the matches of the season. We mustn't build it up too much in case it isn't, but Trevor Brooking, what are you looking for briefly?
Well, you mentioned the Leeds midfield 4, and I think their success this season has been based really on the domination that we've been able to have in that particular area, and it'll be interesting to see if George Graham has devised anything in particular to try and compete against that, because I think that's going to be the key area today.
Well, David Batty, they're calling him the new Billy Bremner. A bit early for that, but he has been in the full England squad. He's 22, a Tigerish midfield player, and it'll be very absorbing, I think, early in the game to see just who gets the upper hand there, because Arsenal, as you say, have been playing well in that area also. The Arsenal team is captained by Paul Davis in the absence of Tony Adams, and Leeds are playing in all yellow, and they're defending the clock end, where many of their standing supporters are congregated in the near corner. And that long kick from John Lukic is headed back by Paul Merson. Be interesting too to see how Arsenal line up front, where Perry Groves will play. He's wearing 6 and starts off in fact on the right of Alan Smith, with Merson dropping back at the kick-off into the midfield area wearing 10. Header was by O'Leary, who's got number 7 on his back. McAllister.
Well, early on, as you said, really, Perry Groves almost playing up alongside Alan Smith, and Paul Merson definitely playing a lot deeper in midfield. Most games I've seen him this season, he's been playing more wide on the right, but he's definitely been the extra man that George Graham has decided to play that little bit deeper.
Referee today is Alan Seville of Birmingham, one of those who likes to let the game run with a smile on his face. That header was by Gary Speed, the Welsh international. Takes the left-sided midfield position for Leeds United. Lee Dixon, the England right back here with the throw to Merson. Dixon again. Groves. He's tricked Speed. Smith's in the middle. And it's come out to Batty. Strachan. And Smith goes in, but Lukic is there. There's an indication there, Trevor, of Perry Groves' ability to get down the right-hand side. George Graham feels he's a very underrated player.
I've just been talking with him to finalise a new contract, because he can play in any part of the forward positions, sometimes drop back into midfield, and what I think it was 65,000 that he got picked up from Colchester, and this day and age that's not bad value.
Certainly isn't. In fact, it was George Graham's first signing, I believe, when he took over here at Arsenal. Carl Schutt for Leeds. Back to Haddock. Davis. O'Leary. Looks for Smith with the long ball. They'll just be testing out Chris Fairclough there and Chris White. And White it was who blasted the ball into Perry Groves. Lovely ground, Highbury, for this sort of occasion. The new executive boxes there behind the goal at the clock end. And supporters who've seen George Graham's team win the First Division Championship and the League Cup in his spell here, but they haven't been so lucky, Arsenal, in the FA Cup in that period. And they won't thank me for telling them that over the last 4 years they've gone out George Graham's team in front of the BBC cameras every time, so we're not exactly a lucky omen for Arsenal. But, I think if we could have a look as well at the Leeds United manager Howard Wilkinson, there is one of the game's real thinkers, and he'll be making notes already there. First met Howard when he was the player manager of Boston United, and from those routes he went to Notts County and then to Sheffield Wednesday, and done a fine job in getting Leeds back into the First Division at the first attempt. That's Leslie Silver, the Leeds chairman, next to him there, who's put a lot of time in at the club as well. Gary Lewin, the Arsenal physio, has got Perry Groves back into action. Bold, Merson, Haddock, and O'Leary needed to clear that. It's Strachan against Winterburn. The wind might be holding the ball up a bit there. It's going to be a Leeds throw. Chris White and Chris Fairclough both knowing that Sterling can get distance on these. They're in the penalty area waiting. Chapman, of course, is there as well. And White makes a nuisance of himself until Thomas clears for Arsenal. Batty. Thomas again. It was Strachan that got McAllister away. The cross is too deep.
Good example there of how the Leeds midfield four do close down the opposition, don't let them settle on the ball. It was Strachan himself even tackling back, and then, of course, Gary McAllister getting in the cross.
That was Smith. Forward by Haddock. Steve Bold. Perry Groves switched positions into the centre alongside Smith and let Merson come out wide on the right. It's pretty fluid, that Arsenal attacking formation. It's meant really that Fairclough's had to move across now to mark Groves. Haddock is marking Smith at this very second. Forward by Dixon.
Yeah, it's in that midfield area. All they're doing actually is asking Merson to tuck in when Leeds get possession, and then as soon as Arsenal sort of get play, to move out wide so as it's not too cramped. As you can see in that centre circle, there's a few bodies in there, so not a lot of space to be found, and really once you get in possession you do need to use the width, otherwise attacks will keep getting broken up.
Let's hope we do see some width. We're always complaining these days about not enough wing play. Here's Chapman. It's a good turn. Shutt's in the middle waiting. There's Shutt against O'Leary. Shutt again. They appealed for hands, Leeds. Two players went towards the referee, who stood exactly where he was. Kyle Shutt whipping the ball in fairly smartly. Here's Thomas. Davis. The flag's up for offside. Anders Limpar just straying too far forward.
Anders Limpar really trying to get into the middle. I think he's trying to get his first touch, actually. In these sort of games, you like to get an early feel, and really he's been a bit isolated out wide in the left and just drifted offside.
And this match is being shown in Scandinavia, so there'll be some interest in the performance of Limpar, who's done so well this season for Arsenal. Throw by Batty. Here's Chapman. Merson's header out. This is Limpar. And he's looking for Perry Groves up against Chris Fairclough, the former Tottenham Forest player. Number 5 for Leeds. There's a nip in the air, but it's a good day for football. Pitch in fine condition. On by Smith. O'Leary. That's Merson. Thomas. Batty is rattling at Thomas's heels. My God, well, that was a good piece of play between him and Chapman. And out on the right, they had a player free. It was Carl Schutt, in fact, who wasn't seen. But Leeds was snapping in midfield there, Trevor.
Well, they won possession very well, and then Arsenal just did it back to them. Michael Thomas tackling back, and really David Batty perhaps could have released it a little bit early with his left foot. Carl Schutt was definitely breaking clear on the right.
On by McAllister to Chapman. Now Strachan. It's a good ball. Schutt to Strachan again. But with 10 minutes gone, Arsenal win it back with Paul Davis. Alan Smith down the left, Perry Groves through the centre. Limpar's there as well. This is Davis. He's got Smith outside him. There are 3 waiting for a cross. It's a good one, but it's too long for Lee Dixon. And Leeds with Haddock. It's Winterburn. And it's Davis. And Groves got a touch to Smith. Play on, Thomas, Merson, Dixon. In again to Thomas. Oh, he's round the back of McAllister. And Perry Groves. It's a corner. A save by John Lukic to keep out Perry Groves. A good move by Arsenal, and the Leeds keeper, the former Arsenal keeper, had to be alert.
Great bit of refereeing as well by Alan Seville to play the advantage, which helped the attack build up from there.
Well, Davis will take the corner, and now we've got Bold up in the 6-yard box, and O'Leary. It's come back again to Davis. And now it's Dixon. Bold tries to make it. So does Smith, and the first true threat of the afternoon. And McAllister was licked on the outside there, and there's no doubt about that when Arsenal got behind the defence.
The opening that came was a good run, really, Michael Thomas into the box. He just rode the tackle of Gary McAllister, and they're the two that both like to make those deep runs from midfield, and it'll be interesting to see whose forward runs has the most effect.
Well, now it's Leeds on the attack, and McAllister's in here behind Bold, and it was away by O'Leary, not very convincingly. And Winterburn completes the clearance. Arsenal were just rocking a bit there. This is Batty. McAllister. Haddock. Chapman in the centre waiting, that's where it's aimed. Dixon, off. It's shut. And one thing about Leeds that I noticed watching them play last week against Luton, they don't let the opposition clear the ball comfortably. They're pushing up at them all the time and often winning it back on the edge of the area. And Arsenal there took a long time to get it away, but when they did, it caused Sterling to come across and Limpar fouled him.
All friendly stuff. I think Seville just felt it was the slightest of nudges as Mel Sterling came across, and that got him the free kick.
That's Chapman who's penalised for a foul by O'Leary. Smith on the far side. Good flick. Groves. It'll fall for Smith again. And again it's blocked by Fairclough. Now Winterburn. Arsenal would have hoped to have got that ball into the danger area, really. This is Davis. They might now. Limpar. Oh, that's clever skill by Limpar. And again he got it back from Smith. And he's found Groves.
There's Anders Limpar, and that's really that piece of extra flair that he's added to the Arsenal team this season. His ability to go past defenders. There he is, has a look up, knocks it in, gets a return, just tries to turn outside Gordon Strachan, and Perry Groves hit his shot, but it was the original little step over, the roll of the heel, the sole of the boot, that wrong-footed two Leeds defenders, which initially set up that opening.
Quarter of an hour gone here at Highbury in the FA Cup fourth round. It's Arsenal 0, Leeds United 0. On by Speed. This is Haddock. Fouled by White and Smith. So it's going to be David O'Leary to float this free kick in. Forward by Sterling. Good comparison here between the right backs. You can see Lee Dixon in the picture there, the Arsenal number 2. He is the England right back at the moment, the Arsenal player. And Mel Sterling wants to be the England right back. Here's Limpar. Dixon. Alan Taylor about to announce the squad for the Cameroon match, Trevor, so there are quite a few players hoping for an opportunity.
Yeah, I would have thought Lee Dixon has done steady enough in the game so far to keep his place. Mel Sterling, of course, got his chance. There's Lee Dixon, I'm sure delighted to get his opportunity. Mel Sterling played a couple of years ago. I can remember seeing him playing a game that England were going through a rather disappointing spell at the time, and then, because he went to Rangers from Sheffield Wednesday, now back at Leeds, he definitely is emerging as a challenger.
Yes, I think his only cap was in Saudi Arabia, wasn't it? But that's Chapman, and it's a flag's up anyway here. Offside against Speed. I suppose it's reasonable to say that David Seaman doesn't really know what it's like to lose as an Arsenal goalkeeper. At least he did in the Rumbelows Cup to Manchester United, but the league run that they've had is quite fantastic. Here's Merson. Strachan worrying the life out of Winterburn. Changing the point of play, but it was read by Thomas. Here's Groves. Forward ball was by Limpar to Davis. That was a really good pass. And Davis with Smith to his right. And now Merson joining the attack, and he's going to wait for Dixon to come. That was an easy ball for the goalkeeper. Chapman, shut, Batty. If you've joined us late, there's no score between Arsenal and Leeds. Just one fine save so far. Here's shut by Lukic from Groves. Otherwise, it's the sort of match that's going to take a while, I rather think, to warm up and find its own pattern. We've been playing nearly 20 minutes. Groves. It's going to be a free kick Arsenal's way. Referee has a word with Chris White about the challenge on Perry Groves. Referees at the moment are under so much scrutiny, Trevor, aren't they? It's you almost begin to feel sorry for them.
Well, I think Alan Seville started very well. I thought played the advantage very well for the one real chance that we've had, because there was certainly a suggestion that the Arsenal player was sandwiched initially in the middle of that build-up, but he let play flow, and that really created the opening. And I think the important thing in games such as this, which are so tight and very little space, is to try and let the game keep flowing. If we keep getting free kicks, then the game will sort of deteriorate.
So it's Winterburn looking for Bold. Chapman back in defence, and then Sterland. So 20 minutes has passed. And Limpar has the ball for Arsenal. He's got Winterburn going up outside him. It's still Limpar. And here's Groves.
Well, that's his second such opening, really. Good to see individuals such as him come into our game, really. And Perry Groves, again, ending up with the shopper here. You see a twisted run, taking on defenders, and now in the penalty area, they're worried about making the tackle. Good pullback. Perry Groves, at the moment, not quite got his sights on the goal, just missing the target at the moment.
There was a sign there of the Leeds organisation at the back, a long line of yellow shirts there defending the area, including Lee Chapman, I noticed. It's a high work rate that Leeds' success has been based on this season. McAllister to speed. This is Sterling. Strachan's made a forward run, trying to stay onside and failing.
I think we might get a few of those offsides as well, because both sides tend to play quite a flat back four, push up, trying to deny space to the opposition, and that's why really the front players have to try and come out with that flat back four, and why possibly it'll be a midfield player who might break that down.
Headed by Fairclough. This is Dixon. Smith's over on the far side. It's come off Haddock for the corner. Davis can curl these in with his left foot for Arsenal. And O'Leary and Bold will go up to cause confusion if they can. O'Leary comes to the near post now. Bold stays forward. Dixon. Davis. This is Thomas, this is O'Leary. And the ball in, finds Smith, it's wide again, O'Leary. Bold is still there on the far side, so is Groves. And it's out with Limpar now for Arsenal. Away by Fairclough. Good interception by Michael Thomas, but not a good shot.
Good build-up again by Arsenal. At the moment, just not quite getting the final ball in, and Leeds packing that defence and denying any really clear-cut openings. As I say, just the one opportunity up to now, but probably Arsenal had more of the possession and deserving that one scoring opportunity. As the referee perhaps checking the ball, one or two of the players, I think, perhaps complaining that it's a bit soft, and that might be why the final ball has not been of the quality they were hoping.
The Leeds supporters' song you can hear from the right-hand end of the ground. About 7,000 Leeds fans here, I believe. A lot of coaches and trains coming down this morning for this big cup tie in London. This is Dixon for Arsenal. Now Groves' pace cut out well by White there. Emerson. Davis. Now out there is Winterburn. And a deflection of Strachan will give Arsenal another corner. And this time Limpar will take it. Leeds have pulled every player back. And there's Perry Groves with a header. Or he thought that a Leeds player may have touched it last, but a goal kick's been given.
The original corner there, won by a good run by Nigel Winterburn. And whenever I see Arsenal at their best here at Highbury, a lot depends on Dixon on the right and Winterburn on the left, getting in those forward positions. Now, of course, they go against Strachan and Speed today, and it's a case of whether they can get the Leeds flank players running backwards and not being able to push forward and support their own attacks.
Well, up to now, we haven't seen much of the Leeds attack, have we? Paul Merson's been penalised there by the referee, so perhaps now we shall see Leeds push on a bit. Fairclough has gone forward on the far side. They're waiting now for White to join him. Strachan will take the kick. And confident enough from David Seaman, but a foul as well.
Just where they won that free kick, Carl Shutt seemed to pull up. I don't know whether he's got a knocker, but he appears to be struggling.
Well, he's a player who's been around, Carl Shutt. I remember him being at Sheffield Wednesday with Howard Wilkinson and playing in the FA Cup semi-final and scoring, in fact. But he's not going to score just at present because he's on the ground, and that's cleared by Bold. Gives me a chance to mention the substitutes today. John Pearson and Glyn Snowden for Leeds, Kevin Campbell and David Hillier for Arsenal. But it's the Leeds bench that will be most concerned just at present.
Well, when you see a player pull up like that, it seems to be a pulled muscle normally, and looks as if it's behind the left thigh there, and if it is a pull or a hamstring, then he's going to do very well. It's not those sort of thing that you can run off. And John Pearson, of course, is on the bench as a striker, a much taller lad, and he would be a direct replacement if he does have to come off. Here he is doing his exercise.
John's also a former Sheffield Wednesday player. There's a strong connection between those two clubs, Wednesday and Leeds, because of Howard Wilkinson, of course. Players have gone from one to the other a bit. And it's down to Alan Sutton, the Leeds medical man there, to see what the situation is with Shutt. He's going off for the time being anyway. So until or unless Pearson comes on, Leeds will be down to 10. Or until Shutt comes back, if he does. Howard Wilkinson has just come down from the stand. And they were returning the ball there in the customary style, which was why the crowd applauded. David Batty for Leeds. And there's no doubt about it, John Pearson is coming on to replace Carl Shutt. Less than half an hour gone, and Leeds have to make a change for reasons of injury. So they've now got two six-footers up there, Pearson and Chapman. And Shutt is out of the game. Here's Chapman. Limpar. McAllister. Davis for Arsenal. It really needs opening up now, this game. And Arsenal have got 6 players in attack here, and they're running in all directions. This is Dixon, and they're onside. He thought for a minute he was off, I think. He looked up. Merson's in the middle with Smith. It's still Dixon. And he got a bit carried away at the end. Chapman with the header, on to Pearson. Now Haddock, who can make ground if he could get past O'Leary. Speed is running on. This is Batty. Throw to Leeds. Quarter of an hour left in the first half here at Highbury. There's no score. This is Pearson. Hands. Lee Chapman.
Well, although a direct swap, Carl Shutt, a bit unlucky because if it is a hamstring as well as it looked, I mean, unfortunately that's about a 3 or 4 week job these days, and he's been having a very good season, having been out of the limelight for quite a while. He's been an important part of the Leeds revival, really, and he's got that extra mobility, and now with 2 big men up front, it'll be harder for them.
This is Batty to Strachan. Linesman says that the ball was over the line. I understand it's definitely a hamstring injury, which has forced the withdrawal of Shutt. This is Michael Thomas. Stretching Dixon a bit. Chapman won it well from Thomas. Strachan to his right, Pearson to his left. He needs somebody else really, and in trying to let Sterling come into it, he was robbed by Thomas. And forward, dear me, Limpar against his own player Davis. Here's Merson, and a series of mistakes until Winterburn finally picks it up from Groves. Limpar. Merson. Well, we have to be honest here, Trevor. And after 32 minutes, I don't think it's all that exciting, do you?
Well, it's one of those matches that George Graham and Howard Wilkins, they are both very sort of thoughtful managers. They won't be giving much away on either side. They know that this particular game, whoever comes through it, they've got a very good opportunity of getting all the way to the final. They won't worry too much if they end up winning 1-0 in a game that perhaps doesn't entertain too much. They realise that these are 2 very much informed sides. Whoever gets through this tie has got to be one of the strong favourites.
Well, when the biggest cheer of the afternoon so far comes because of a foul, you start to get the idea. It's short of goal-mouth action at the moment. And it's a free kick to Leeds. Dixon's header. Smith. Kerry Groves again working well for Arsenal, but I don't think Alan Smith's quite that quick. Merson for Arsenal. Groves. Now Michael Thomas swinging it out left. And again, Winterburn. Three waiting in the centre for a cross. Smith just glanced off the side of his head. It's a goal kick. And what progressive play we have seen has come from Arsenal.
He thrives on that sort of cross there, Alan Smith. Nigel Winterburn again getting forward very well. Just couldn't quite get over it. Chris White is quite a tall lad himself and just put him off sufficiently to be able to direct it accurately.
Speed. Groves. Smith. Groves again, if he could go left now. Winterburn's making some good runs down that side. Limpar's further over. It's Winterburn's cross. Here's Merson. Batty. And Leeds playing very much for a break here. And that one is between O'Leary and Chapman, and there's only one winner. Ten minutes left in the first half. 0-0. Smith, Thomas, Dixon, White. It's so tight in there. Everybody pushing up on the play of the ball, and at times nearly all the players in the midfield third. Bold. Chapman at Strachan running on. And now it's Dixon. Very speed for Leeds. McAllister running through the midfield, being marked by Thomas. Handball by Davis. And they've now got four tall men to aim at Leeds, with Pearson having come on. White and Fairclough going to the far side of the area. Sterling to take it. Chapman up with O'Leary. This is Batty. Two centre-backs have stayed forward here for Leeds. But they have to start thinking about getting back now. Sterling. Oh, dear.
The unfortunate thing is probably both managers are sitting there quite happy at the moment because they can't see either of their sides conceding a goal, and it really is a case of everyone cancelling each other out, and we desperately need somebody to conjure up something that's going to give us a chance and a goal. If ever a game cried out for one, it's this one at the moment.
Well, I hope you've inspired somebody there to produce one, Trevor. This is Dixon. It's functional football with no end product. Here's Haddock. And Strachan gets that out wide. That's a good ball. Sterling. And Leeds have got players in the middle here, and Sterling might find them. Here's Pearson. And on the far post, Chapman. McAllister's coming in. Strachan missed his kick. Strachan again. That was the best opening Leeds have had. And three Arsenal players were on the ground, actually, at the end of it. It might wake Arsenal up a bit. This is Groves. Oh, free kick the other way. Delay while Steve Bold receives attention. That was probably a better chance for Leeds than maybe Strachan made it look, Trevor.
Mel Sterling got forward well, and he is a good attacking fullback. The first really chance he's had, he put it across John Pearson, one of the tall big strikers, and there's Gordon Strachan, who really, when it came back out, it was a bouncing ball, and he thought he had to hit it early with his left foot, and then sort of adjusted and waited for it to come down and hit it on his right. But you're right, with sort of a couple of Arsenal players ending up on the floor, he didn't realise quite the time he had to get the shot on target, and really didn't hit it that well, and it was a comfortable save for Seaman.
Forward by Sterling. Speed. That was Dixon on speed, and this could give Leeds an opening. It's a free kick, the sort they thrive on. Oh, goodness gracious. What a waste. And Arsenal break with Merson, and Groves in a great position, and Merson's overhit it. Well, I shouldn't think either team is very pleased with the football that went on there. Leeds completely wasted a free kick, and Arsenal couldn't make the most of what looked to be a promising break. Thomas. Davis lets it go to Limpar, and now Michael Thomas, a great run through. Header out was by Chris White.
Although it's very congested there have been opportunities for players to play the sort of balls that can split defences. They're just, today the technique is very poor, and Paul Merson had a great chance to play Perry Groves through, then Anders Limpar could have played Winterburn through on the left. Players are just making the wrong selections, and the technique's letting them down at the moment.
Well, there you have it. This is O'Leary. And the ball has been given away so many times. Now McAllister chases through, and David Seaman to clear. And collision between Seaman and McAllister. Winterburn. This is Batty for Leeds. Haddock. Limpar has said something to the referee, and an angry gesture was exchanged between the two of them. However, play goes on with Haddock. We've got White and Fairclough in there, and Big Pearson jumping it one over Chapman's head. Leeds beginning to perhaps suggest they might do something on the crosses with the big men in there. The most buoyant spell we've seen from Leeds. Chapman. Haddock's cross. It's going to come to Strachan and Limpar. And now Sterland. A lot of players still in there for Leeds. Here's Chris White. Fairclough. Away by Dixon. Only as far as Strachan. Header back in, looks for Fairclough. And now out on the right, Gary McAllister. Good play by him. Fairclough came at him so fast he couldn't direct the header. But they were off the bench there, Mick Hennigan and the coaches, because Fairclough at least got into contact with McAllister's cross, and McAllister did awfully well here to get round right on the line. They appealed for it being out, it wasn't. Trevor.
Well, he rode Nigel Winterburn's tackle great. And there, Chris Fairclough just explaining to his teammates, I think, there why he quite didn't get it on target, because it was a really good whipped-in cross which took all the Arsenal defence out, but didn't really give Fairclough a chance to adjust either. But Leeds, as you say, enjoying a good spell.
That could whip Arsenal up a little bit, I think. This is Winterburn. Limpar. Davis, the only Arsenal player in the middle at the moment, out by Haddock. This is Merson, this is Groves. There might be room here for Lee Dixon. Well, in the end, Mel Sterland. Right at the end of the first half, a corner to Arsenal. What a good time this would be to score. Groves, Davis! Oh, it struck a Leeds head and went out for a corner. There's also an injury. Paul Davis struck that really well, and it definitely caught a Leeds head as it flew through the crowd of players. Sterling's clearance, Davis' shot. Oh.
Well, a little scramble there, and Mel Sterland, in fact, once that initial cross cleared everyone towards the far post, Perry Groves came in, and it was Mel Sterland who initially hooked it away, but I think Groves just caught him on his ankle just afterwards. And then Paul Davis's shot, probably Lee Chapman, I think, more than anyone who got his head to it. And it appeared to be heading on its way to the net, but that's probably the nearest we've come, or Arsenal have come. And there's George Graham thinking about it since that one early opportunity to Perry Groves, which John Lukic tipped over. Other than that, we've had very few goal-mouth incidents.
Stuart Houston, who's the first-team coach now with George Graham at Arsenal. And there's big Kevin Campbell, one of the subs, and David Hillier, the young defender. Well, we're well into stoppage time at the end of the first half. Mel Sterland appears to be on the way back, and Arsenal may have time to take this corner, which will be Davis. Bold nearer to the kicker, O'Leary just behind him. Swapping positions now. Smith is up. It's going to come to Winterburn to strike it. The block by McAllister. And the referee's whistle brings to an end a half in which there haven't been too many goal-mouth thrills, to say the least. Teams cancelling each other out by and large. And I would imagine that we'll find out exactly now what Bob and Jimmy made of it, because Desmond at half-time, as you can see, we have no goals to talk about.
Okay, John, thank you very much. Well, I think we forecast it was going to be tight. That Lukic save was pretty important.
It was a good save, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really good save. It's tight. They've got great respect for each other. Both sides are in form and have been Arsenal throughout the season in the league, just the Manchester United problem in the Rumbelows Cup, which was a heavy one. Leeds are on a current fine run. I think early on in the game, very unlike Leeds, if you study their play, they normally bomb sides for the first 15, 18, 30 minutes, look for a lot of set pieces. They weren't
a chance here, have they?
No, now that was credit to Arsenal. Arsenal started well, but at the end, Leeds came back with a really good spell, which I think promises for probably a more entertaining second half, but I wouldn't call it functional play at all.
Will it open up in the second half a bit more, Jim?
I think it will. I mean, it's not been a sterile game. There haven't been a lot of shots on goal, but Arsenal particularly have developed some very nice passing and dribbling movements round Leeds' penalty area, and they've got into the penalty area at angles, got crosses in, but no one's been able to get on the end of them. So there has been some attractive play in among it. And both sides, really, it's not a non-competitive match in the sense that they're not trying for each other. You know, they're trying to attack. They're not content to rest in a drawn situation. But it is sterile to an extent because of the points we've made.
Yeah.
They know each other very well. There's so much at stake. And they would be idiotic just to throw it away by presenting the other team with a chance. It will open out, I'm quite sure.
Groves, who isn't everybody's favourite player, has looked the danger man, hasn't he?
Well, he's looked the danger man as regards looking as if he might have the chance to break the deadlock, but in fact most of the creative work for Arsenal, I would say, has been done by Paul Davis, who has a double responsibility, treble responsibility if you call him as a captain, because he also has to look after Gordon Strachan. But I think Davis's passing has been quite superb at times.
Okay, we'll look at one or two of the features of that half in a moment, but of course little Woking are playing at Goodison today against Everton. Now the team news was that Woking named the same 11 that provided the shock of round 3, maybe the key to their hopes. Their top scorer, Tim Buzaglo, who scored that hat-trick in the 4-2 win at West Brom, he recovered from flu this week. Everton have a familiar lineup at the back. There had been doubts about Hinchcliffe and Watson apparently, but both were included. And England under-21 international John Ebrell was the man who scored both goals in their third-round win over Charlton. Everton, of course, in blue. Tony Gubber commentating.
Keith Hackett in charge as Everton, 12th in Division 1, face the team who play their football 2 leagues below the 4th division. It really is a David and Goliath encounter, and the important thing for Woking will be how they cope in these opening few minutes. Buzaglo, the number 10, a hat-trick against West Brom. Why? First test for them at the back, and that's Pratt who got the header. He's 6'5". Ratcliffe for Everton. And again, they funneled it back to their keeper, Tim Reed. And Woking were told by Fred Callahan, their part-time coach, before the match, that they would really have to absorb a lot of pressure in the opening 15 minutes or so. That's Biggins, scored a hat-trick himself already in the Cup. Ratcliffe for Everton. And Hinchcliffe back to Kevin Southall. Andy Hinchcliffe, was some doubts about his presence today, but he's recovered from the knock. Lloyd White, forced to hurry by Cotty, and it's Woking's throw. Barham with the throw for Woking. Thought about giving it back to Reed, his keeper. Franks didn't get a touch, followed by MacDonald. Sharp laid it off to Cotty. Everton's first real threat on the Woking penalty area. And Cotty was dispossessed. Still can't command a regular place, Tony Cotty. A.D. Cowler, the sweeper and the captain. 28-year-old interior designer. That came off MacDonald. 11 was Ebrell. And Ratcliffe. Hinchcliffe. Ebrell. And big Dave Watson. Nevin. And that's taken away from McCall. Brown. And not only Woking into Everton's half for the first time. Biggins. Cowler. The sweepers come forward. And a real buzz among Woking's travelling support of 10,000 as they're within at least sight of Everton's penalty area. Whistle's gone, trip on McCall, free kick. Stuart McCall, Scottish international, World Cup player. Everton have taken the kick. Hinchcliffe. For Sharp, nicely chested down to Sheedy, who hits it well, left foot, the trusty left foot of Sheedy. And Tim Reed, the 19-year-old bank clerk, has passed his first test, saving that left foot shot from Sheedy. Bazaglo. Tackle was by McCall. Bazaglo again. Franks, can he get in a good deep cross? Pratt's there, and he got the header, but he put it over. 6'5", Bradley Pratt, a salesman when he's not a footballer, and that's the first strike that Woking have made. And he out-jumped Ratcliffe, but put it too high over the bar. Sheedy. MacDonald, who's gone well forward again. Again, they look for Nevin, with Lloyd Y again in really close attendance. And he's haunted the little Scot. Reed's come for it, and he took it well. Woking's record signing at £7,500 in his first full season of football, even at this level, in the Vauxhall League. What a big day. Not too happy with his kick. McDonald was a little bit fortunate. Sharp. McDonald again. Ebrel. McCall, quick break, but only to Shane Y. This is Pratt. And they're not looking to hoof it most of the time, Woking, although Bradley Pratt did then. When they get possession, they're prepared to put it on the deck and look up and try and find a colleague. Sharp. Sheedy. Ratcliffe, as far forward as he's been so far, the Everton captain. Hinchcliffe. Header out was by Barron. But Everton have it again. Neil MacDonald. Oh, he's hit the post! Tony Cottee has ballooned it into the top tier of the stand when he had Woking's goal at his mercy. And will Everton rue that? It's the closest they've come. We've had 37 minutes. It was struck beautifully by Neil MacDonald. Struck the inside of the post with Reed beaten. And how did Cottee put that one where he did? Great shot. Keeper wouldn't have scrambled back. Cottee got a touch. Reed's come. He's only flapped, but he got it out of the area. Shane Y. Stepped over McCall. Bazaglo gave it in back. Franks on the far side. Oh, he's just offside, Derek Brown.
Well, there we are, 0-0 at half-time. Everton against Woking. Liverpool had a shock yesterday. Perhaps Everton are going to get a bigger one today.
Well, it's Woking's home fixture, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah. I suppose it is on paper. But that is astonishing.
Great performance.
Yeah. Let's take a look at one or two of the incidents in the first half here. And we mentioned Lukic's save. It's the only real save that's had to be made, isn't it?
Yeah, very crucial because it came so early on. Michael Thomas, lovely, he wrote the way he rolled the player there, pulled it back nicely, and you've got to remember that he's going the wrong way there. He's going from his near post across his goal, so to make that sort of save, goalkeepers have to keep their heads really screwed in very tight, because if you don't keep it tight, you don't get the vision. And he's left his trailing hand and made a super save there.
That was right near the start of the play,
Very
too.
important,
And,
very important.
I noticed he didn't really come out for the kick-in, did he, before things
No,
started?
no,
Why was that?
he goes into a world of his own, John, before any game. You can't get near him. He doesn't want to speak to anybody. He might just about acknowledge you, but he puts on almost like a mask. And it's incredible. He just walks out when he comes out on the field. He's in his own world. It's his way of getting himself.
Rather different personality from
David Seaman.
David Seaman,
Yeah,
yeah.
David's a very laid-back sort of goalkeeper before the game. I mean, I used to be very intense, like
you still are.
Well, thank you, thank you. No, but David is very much a more laid-back sort of goalkeeper.
Right. Okay. Let's look at that incident towards the end when Leeds might have gone ahead. Jim,
Yes,
they had
Chris
a good chance.
Fairclough, but it shows really McAllister, the worth of this player here. He gets through to a better crossing position, but his touch on this cross is really superb. He curls it away from the keeper, and really, you see, Fairclough only got a look at it, I think, at the last minute. Otherwise, he'd have made so much more of it. Lovely little cross. He's such a stylish player, McAllister. Skips past the player. You know, he's 6 foot himself, but that's like a sort of dribbling winger. And look at that. You'd be very disappointed if you'd missed it from that second angle, looking at it from there, wouldn't
Terrific pace on the ball.
Wasn't
It's
it?
awful for goalkeeper, that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we need some goals, don't we? Let's
We
go.
do need some goals,
Sure we
Des.
do. Let's go back to Trevor and John, second half.
Well, I suppose those two incidents and the shot that Strachan had were the nearest we came to a goal in the first half. What about your pre-match preparation, Trevor, when you were playing? Did you go out wearing a mask?
Well, I was one of those laid-back people, I must say. I didn't like... I mean, most sides now go around about half an hour before a kick-off and have a good warm-up, 10 or 15 minutes. I didn't really like to have that much of a warm-up. Some people might suggest I'd have been tired by the time we kicked off. But, I mean, it was just a case, I think, whatever... And most players like their own sort of individual preparation, and really I just liked a laid-back one. And then once, I think I was nervous before a game, sort of 20 minutes waiting in the dressing room, but once you get out on the pitch, that evaporates, and really then you just concentrate on, and hopefully, as I say, the first 5 or 10 minutes, hope for a good touch, and it then seems to get you into the game. And I've often seen matches like this where the first 45 minutes is very tight, and then gradually the second half does open out. So I'm still quite optimistic for this second half.
Yes, I think the best is still to come here. Undoubtedly, they've felt each other out now. Leeds, who've lost only 2 of their last 21 matches, remember, in all competitions, 15 wins and 4 draws. It's a terrific run, as indeed is Arsenal's, unbeaten in the league all season. So you can understand the fact that there was nothing given away in the first 45 minutes, but there may be something to admire, a lot to admire perhaps, in what's to come. Arsenal now attacking the North Bank, which is where their stronghold of support tends to stand. That was Haddock for Leeds, and now Speed. Thomas. And away by White. This is Fairclough for Leeds, and now it's Davis for Arsenal. And again, the space is shut down so quickly by Batty and McAllister that Thomas and Davis have got no room to turn, and it forces the ball all the way back to the Arsenal goalkeeper. George Graham now standing and sipping a cup of tea. George Graham, who played in the double-winning team, of course, in 1971. Chapman pushing and shoving, nothing given. You'll hear a lot of cries for penalties at that end because the Leeds massed support is behind that goal. They do have a throw, and here's Haddock. And well taken by Seaman, and now Arsenal can break. It was a good throw out by the goalkeeper. Limpar. And there's a man free on the far side. It wasn't Thomas, it was Merson, in fact, who was in the best position, but he wasn't found. Teams drew 2-2 at Elland Road in a league game earlier in the season. And they might have to play there again on Wednesday night if this is drawn. But one remembers back in those double winning days of the early 70s just how tight matches used to be between Bertie Mee's team and Don Reevy's team, and this one is following in that tradition in many ways. Just a question of whether either side can get the edge and score the goal that would open the match up completely. On by Pearson. Limpar. Smith. McAllister. Batty. Groves. Smith again. It's all cut and thrust in there. It's played at such a pace. No wonder sometimes passes go astray. Winterburn. David Batty being spoken to by the referee. A little bit of nonsense after the ball had gone, but it's quickly sorted out by Alan Seville. Groves. Smith. Groves again. Now they've got Limpar in the middle with Merson. Free kick. Batty. Over to Haddock. Merson.
Merson probably more than anyone has suffered a bit with his more withdrawn role today. He's had an excellent season for Arsenal, yet has very rarely been able to get forward and has been conscious of his defensive duties today.
That long kick by Seaman, looking for Smith. McAllister, a nice bit of play there to Strachan. This is where the Leeds midfield can work well, but once more, the ball has gone back. Dixon. And offside would have been, yes it is, Smith. Slow coming back. Now, what can Leeds develop here? They've pushed Fairclough up, they've pushed White up, and Smith's had to go back to help with the defending here for Arsenal. Here's Strachan. The flick on, looks for McAllister, can he bring it down? Winterburn at his heels. In by White, half away, Chapman. Shot blocked. Powerful stuff from Leeds here. McAllister. That's got the ground buzzing a bit, that little spell. And McAllister is really at the heart of it, and that was a foul by Paul Davis on him. The Arsenal captain. So forward again go the heavy troops for Leeds United. Fairclough and White joining Pearson and Chapman. Strachan to take the kick. And there's White, and there's Merson. Winterburn. That was over the line. Good play by Batty. Oh, Strachan's offside.
Gordon Strachan not very happy, but it was a late decision for the linesman. He had a good look, and it looked as if he was going to let play go on, and then he just came up very late. But it's a game that really offside tactics are playing their part. Both sides playing quite flat at the back, and over a period of 90 minutes, you often find once or twice it does break down. It's going to be very important if they do get that opportunity that the side does tuck the chance away.
Looked to me like arms in the face on both sides. Chris White and Alan Smith tangling. Leeds have got the decision. Pearson. Haddock. Pearson again. This is Batty. Strachan's made a darting run forward. And free kick. Groves on Batty. McAllister has scampered into the penalty area. They wanted to take it quickly. But as they did so, the referee was still sorting out the Arsenal players who hadn't retreated. Well, there are 4 Leeds players round the ball. McAllister, number 10, Speed, number 11, Strachan and Sterling. And it's Sterling! Close.
Well, he's mumbling away there because he knows it was pretty close, and good strike, just I think outside the wall, and David Seaman that side, although he dived for it, I think he was fairly comfortable. It was always going to miss. There you see the wall all lined up, so he's just hit it really the goalkeeper's side of it, and there shouldn't have really been any question that David Seaman would let that one in.
Smith to Groves. Here's Limpar. Corner to Arsenal. Bold and O'Leary forward again. Tucked back in by Davis, and out again to Dixon. Still they stay forward, the men from the back. Offside, Bold. Pearson. Speed. Batty. Oh dear, oh dear. It's an untidy challenge, not malicious, but it was Dixon that sent Batty tumbling, so it's a free kick to Leeds, who are starting to mount quite an assault early in the second half. Strachan to take this one. Flick on, off, and I think it was Pearson that flicked it on, and White, who just failed to make contact as the furthest man over.
They're getting in as many crosses as you can see here. The Arsenal backline on the 18-yard box being pushed back. Pearson just gets the faintest of touches, and Chris White's long leg couldn't quite stretch that much, and the linesman's flag didn't go up, and so it was close. And they're playing slightly longer ball this half, Leeds, so as they can join and support those 2 tall strikers much quicker, and it's been quite effective at the moment.
Again, Leeds are pushing right up, looking for an offside, and the linesman has kept his flag down, and Lee Dixon is in here with Smith and Winterburn closing in, and Fairclough clears. Well, now it's warming up. Thomas. Offside this time, Limpar. Well, it's a dangerous game, this offside ploy. Nobody likes it very much. And if it goes wrong, then they'll have no reason to complain. It was with the earlier attack, actually, where they did beat the flag. On by Pearson. Groves. Smith. Now this might run for Limpar. And no question, in the first quarter of an hour of the second half, the play far more in and around the penalty area than it was in the first.
Yeah, Smith and White there, as you can see, both going for headers. And although they both made contact with the ball, I think they both made contact with each other's heads as well. Limpar snatching a bit early at the shot. He had a one-against-one situation, and with his dribbling ability, perhaps taking his man on into the penalty area might have been a little bit more effective. And he is the man, certainly in the Arsenal lineup, who has that strength to go past people. But it definitely is opening up, and the crowd themselves have been sort of encouraged to make a lot more noise, and still, though, as evenly matched teams as we expected them to be. I wouldn't like to suggest how this game would go, or whether it's going to go into another game or two after this.
Well, certainly the supporters are enjoying their day. Two of the most fanatical sets of supporters in many ways, Arsenal and Leeds. Seen some great times in the past, and they're enjoying some very good ones at present. Smith. Here's Dixon. Header by Haddock. Smith for Arsenal. Looks for Groves. Davis is waiting in the centre. And Arsenal force a corner. And you have a feeling now that the breakthrough might not be too far away. The atmosphere really boiling up as Davis takes the corner for Arsenal. Chapman heads it out, and the referee spots an infringement, and Leeds can now clear. Here's Pearson. Haddock. Batty. Speed for Leeds. Looks for Sterling. Showed too much of that to Anders Limpar, who gets it back from Winterburn. And now Arsenal are flying forward. They've got three in the middle. Groves is the furthest up. Corner given, tackled by Fairclough on Limpar. Little argument between Limpar and Strachan ensued.
I think Gordon Strachan just suggested the referee keep an eye on Anders Limpar. He thought he might have been looking for the penalty there.
Here's Limpar again. Is he offside? No, Merson. Referee beautifully placed to see that that was a fair clearance by John Pearson. So it's Arsenal's turn now to pack the penalty area. O'Leary's in there, away by Haddock, corner again. Can Arsenal make one of these tell now? They've got Limpar curling them in, Bold and Smith now come towards the near post. O'Leary further over, closing in now, header away by Chris Fairclough. Now it's Winterburn. And now Merson. And Groves closing in far side. Goal kick. Well, it's frantic and competitive, and it's being played at a terrific pace. I think sometimes we underestimate the sheer power and athleticism in the game from a position up here. Bold. They're trying to release Groves and Merson on that far side, but the Leeds left flank at the moment is holding firm. Haddock brought in today, looks pretty solid there. Dixon takes the throw. Limpar. Dixon, good play by Arsenal. Pearson working hard up front for Leeds, but he's not given that to Strachan. He gave it instead to Smith. This is Winterburn. And Arsenal have got players up here. Davis. Batty. Thomas is right at his heels. Good play by Michael Thomas. Groves. Davis. Smith. Limpar. And Batty to Strachan as Leeds break now, end to end. He's got to try and stay onside, Lee Chapman, he hasn't.
Looks at the linesman, the linesman was right. Very, very difficult for the forwards to just time the run at the right time. Arsenal holding their line and Lee Chapman running along it, trying to stay onside. But Gordon Strachan did delay it a long time, but he still couldn't wait long enough, and he was definitely just a couple of yards offside there.
Thomas, Groves, and Haddock steps across again for Leeds United. They're so well organised back there. Merson. Thomas, a great forward run. Oh, pity for Arsenal, hit him in the back. Groves. Dixon. Merson. Takes on Haddock. And at the moment, nobody's getting past the number 3. Peter Haddock, 29 years old, former Newcastle player.
Arsenal were desperately unlucky just now when Paul Merson released a perfectly flighted ball. The timing was great for Michael Thomas, and it just hit him on the back. Otherwise, he would have broken through the Leeds offside. And that really is the type of run, I think, which we might see just break this deadlock. And it really is a case now of it beginning to open out, and you just sense that the prompting and the timing of the runs are getting better.
And the fans still wondering where the first goal is going to come from. This is Bold. Winterburn. Thomas. O'Leary. Good ball. Groves. Arsenal can try again, but so often they have to go back to make progress further forward. Limpar. Davis, that's where it is that the challenge comes in so fast. Nobody has time to settle on the ball at all. It's 100-mile-an-hour stuff. But it is a cup tie after all, so That's what we've come to expect. That was forward by Davis. And Leeds still holding firm at the back there. Well, there's going to be some activity now on the substitutes bench because David O'Leary appears to be going off, and it looks as though young David Hillier, 21 years old, South London boy, who in fact made his league debut at Leeds earlier in the season when he came on as a sub for Winterburn. Well, today he's on for O'Leary. He is a back four player. Thomas. And Steve Bold. Too strong for Limpar.
Big test for the young Hillier, actually, to play alongside Bold. I think one of the key factors, he can play midfield as well as defensive, but he's not a tall lad. There he is, and with Chapman and Pearson up front, he's going to be under a lot of pressure, I would think, in the air to compete against those two and win possession.
I understand that David O'Leary has done the same as Carl Schutt and pulled a hamstring, so that's why he went off. Both teams having used one substitute. Arsenal have Kevin Campbell still in reserve, and Leeds have Snowden. "20 minutes to go here at Highbury in the FA Cup fourth round. Arsenal 0, Leeds United 0. Tight and tense. And so fast. McAllister. Dixon. These two defences as yet unyielding. Strachan. McAllister. Chapman makes his way into the centre. Feels for handball against Michael Thomas, not given. Davis. Merson. Limpar starts a run through the middle for Arsenal. And the collision is between Limpar and Sterling. Well, Arsenal must feel that their best chance is to win the tie here. They do have the advantage today of the home ground. This is Dixon. Looking for Bold. Limpar. Fairclough. Hillier. Oh, offside, Limpar.
Great example there of how quickly Leeds push up. I mean, it was only a half clearance to the halfway line, and really, when it was knocked back in by Hillier, Limpar was, what, 5-6 yards offside, and the Leeds team all streaming up almost at a sprint together.
McAllister. Thomas is in there, that was speed. Now it's Merson for Arsenal. He's got support on that side from Smith. Number 9 there. And he's away. And two to his left here. Smith's shot. Limpar would have liked it squared, but he saw the goal, Alan Smith. Batty for Leeds. Haddock. Chapman making a run, and so is Pearson here with the flick. Well taken by Chris White. And now David Hillier. We ought to say how well certain individuals have played in defence today, Trevor. There's been some very good displays in the respective back fours.
Well, I think as much as anyone, Chris White has caught my eye. I mean, ex-Arsenal player, and he was brought in alongside Gary McAllister, who's added that sort of craft in midfield. But I think Chris White, I mean, apart from there is his height advantage, which has competed very well against Alan Smith. He certainly, on occasions I've seen him this season, is very constructive from the back. Added that little bit more, bringing the ball out of defence and feeding the midfield. Although today it's been more his defensive duties that have caught the eye.
There was a foul there by Speed on Dixon. It's given Arsenal a free kick, and that's enabled them to pack the centre of the penalty area once again. Davis takes. There's Bold, not quite tall enough. Great ball by Thomas to Merson. Smith's in the middle, and so is Bold here. Merson shoots, and it came off Sterland to Speed, and now Strachan's got mixed up. And it's Hillier for Arsenal, and it's still Strachan. And Leeds have a break on. Now then, they've got an extra man. McAllister's gone to the left to pick it up from Batty. He's taking on Dixon. McAllister's cross, and Speed comes in, and it's Bold, who clears for Arsenal for a corner. Still, this breathless charge from one end of the field to the other continues unabated. Strachan will take the corner. Fairclough and White both forward. And David Seaman in control there. .15 minutes to go. Arsenal 0, Leeds United 0. The FA Cup fourth round, live from Highbury. And you still can't separate the two teams in any department. This is Chapman. It's Strachan, good play. Sterling. Pearson's coming in from the far side. They've matched each other, mind for mind, muscle for muscle. And with a quarter of an hour to go, it remains 0-0. Pearson. Bold. Smith. Oh, it's Davis! Offside. Won't count. Smiles replaced by frowns. Smith, well, was he off or not? I'd like to know your view on that, Trevor Brooking.
The view is he wasn't offside. I mean, it's one of those difficult situations, you know, for linesmen. They see it suddenly, the player is broken clear, and they think, oh, he's offside. But when the ball was played, there was no question he was onside. It was a perfect timed run, and whether John Lukic would then have tried and made the save, we don't know. But he definitely wasn't offside when the ball was played.
Well, there's something for the supporters to discuss on their way home tonight, and indeed for us to talk about later, maybe. But it's still 0-0, and it's Chapman for Leeds. A foul by Winterburn. Well, the evidence of recent cup ties is that you can pack lots of excitement into the last quarter of an hour, and maybe that's what's going to happen here. Speed comes up for the header. Chapman is there. It's going to fall for Winterburn. Davis on the chest as the referee. Given away by Leeds, and here's Groves. Merson's flying down the other flank. Michael Thomas making rapid strides in the middle. It's Perry Groves for Arsenal. And it's McAllister for Leeds, and Winterburn throws himself into the tackle and gets beaten, but they've got to try and stay onside. It's Batty. McAllister. Pearson pulling away on the far side now for Leeds. He's got support here from Haddock. Chapman's offside. Mind you, David Seaman made a superb reflex save, just in case, but the flag was up again.
Here we see Alan Smith, as he clips it, look, Mel Sterling, Chris Fairclough, both playing him onside. There was never any question. John Lukic there, to be fair, is not making much of an effort to save that, but, you know, the critical thing is definitely Paul Davis. There he is jogging along. There's two players playing him onside.
I think we've more or less proved that one. Here's speed. And now it's Haddock. Well, Steve Boyle got himself into difficulties, and Gordon Strachan attempts what I suppose now is to get called a John Salako, but not with the same success.
I think John Salako would be a bit disappointed to get the comparison there, but I mean, you could see what Gordon Strachan was thinking, but David Seaman was quickly backtracking, and even if he'd hit it sweetly, David Seaman would have got back in his goal.
Free kick to Arsenal. Perry Groves, fouled by Chris Fairclough, climbing. And the Gunners hoping to fire towards the north bank here. It's all very tense down by the benches. Davis. Strachan. Batty's trying to make it. Davis is cutting him off. Smith to Groves. Wide to Merson. Now Dixon. And Limpar. 10 minutes to go here at Highbury in this fourth round FA Cup tie. And still, Arsenal and Leeds United, two of the most successful teams of the season, unable to break each other down. Long ball by Nigel Winterburn, begging Lukic to come out again. Well, he won't be sorry if he keeps a clean sheet, where he used to perform so well, John Lukic. Always a goalkeeper's first priority. But in 9 minutes, a lot can happen. Here's David Hillier. Taste of the big time for him today. Chapman. Oh, Limpar has inadvertently given Leeds a corner. White is in there. And Strachan prepares to take it. Was Speed who came in at the last, cleared by Davis, or half cleared. The header on was by Michael Thomas, then it was Merson. Sterling to Strachan, a good ball. And now Batty. Well, Leeds are certainly not sitting back here and playing for a draw. They're pressing into the Arsenal half. And there will be work to be done here yet. That's a good cross by Sterling. And it was well dealt with by Arsenal. This is Thomas. Turning away from Strachan. Oh, he's lost it. McAllister. And he's gone for the long chip as well. They're all trying it, Trevor.
I think actually a good interception. He had space to run with it, and they had an extra man there. And I think although he looked up and perhaps thought the opportunity he was on, again, you know, the pace and the flight of the ball, really, Seaman would always have got back. Although I've been very impressed with Gary McAllister. I think his vision and forward runs from midfield have been very good for Leeds.
Here comes Groves, back by Fairclough. Well, with 7 minutes left, two players who've caught the eye of Trevor Brooking, Chris White and Gary McAllister, both on the Leeds side. That's bold for Arsenal. Strachan. And that looked to me as if there might have been an offside, actually, against Lee Chapman.
I mean, we mentioned there the two Leeds players, but it'd be, you know, unfair to single one side or the other today. I think Arsenal have matched them in every department. As you said, Stevie Board in the back four has done equally well for Arsenal. Paul Davis has shown some excellent touches in midfield, and it really is now getting to the anxious stage where one mistake in these last, what, 6 or 7 minutes could be the difference.
But we've seen so much drama in the closing minutes of cup ties this season and last, you just wouldn't rule that out, would you? Here's Smith for Arsenal. To Merson. And still Merson. And Leeds get a terrific roar from their supporters as they break now with speed. Chapman's to his left. Batty, a wonderful run to his right. It just caught an Arsenal foot, drove him a bit wide. Batty again. And it's snapped up by Steve Bold for Arsenal. And he's lost it to Strachan. The nerves are creeping in, or perhaps it's tiredness. Here's Pearson. Free kick given in Chapman's favour against Michael Thomas. It's indirect. Five minutes to go. Sterling lets it run. Oh, it was meant for Chris White, and Leeds got it all wrong. And Arsenal have possession. And there goes Winterburn. The pass was by Limpar, and the interception was by the former Arsenal man, Chris White, who, as Trevor says, has been very solid indeed.
So great composure there, because he was involved in a little bit of a mess up on the free kick right at the other end, and galloping back, I'm sure that was racing through his mind there. I don't want that mistake to end up with a chance, and a lot of defenders would have whacked it into the crowd, but he sort of set it up very well.
Mistake by Winterburn. Pearson offside Chapman. So Highbury has witnessed a meeting of two of the modern giants of the game, really. And they're so closely matched. It's beginning to look. But here's Groves. Oh, great chance for Merson. Can Smith do it? Merson again. Thomas is coming in now. And as you say, it's beginning to look like a replay. You tempt them to score. Winterburn, free kick. Taken quickly, Limpar. Smith's on the far side here. He's pushed somebody. And the referee won't let that go, because in fact, the flag was up for offside. Trevor Brooking.
Well, there's a few scrambles going on there. Great tackle by Peter Haddock, the left back, to block Merson's shot, just as he seemed as if he got a yard of space. And then Arsenal gaining a quick free kick, wasting it really, because they played it to Limpar and he's offside.
Now Leeds force their way back into the Arsenal half, showing all the fitness and the power and the belief that's been instilled into them by Howard Wilkinson. And the attitude and character that George Graham has drummed into Arsenal has also been evident this afternoon. Smith gets up again. Forward by Dixon. There's time there for White to kill it. Stone dead on the edge of the area. Don't think, again, you could say there have been too many direct chances or great saves, but there's been a terrific amount of effort put into this game. That is Chapman putting in even more. Pearson's in the penalty area. It's Strachan's cross. Oh, it's going to come out to McAllister! And that's the best moment of the whole afternoon. A great shot by Gary McAllister and a wonderful save by David Seaman. What a tremendous piece of football. And it came with barely 2 minutes left, and Leeds have a corner. Can they snatch it yet? And here comes Fairclough. There's so much height on that ball, it's going to go out for a goal kick. Well, George Graham there had real reason to dwell on the £1.3 million he paid for this fella, Trevor.
Well, the mark of a great goalkeeper here, as you see. Lee Chapman knocks it back to Gordon Strachan, a great early cross. And it was only half cleared, comes back out to McAllister through 3 players, and David Seaman spreading himself well. Probably a nice height, but it would come in at such pace. It was great reactions, and whilst all that was happening, Kevin Campbell has come on as substitute, but I think credit to goalkeeper, 89 minutes, not a lot to do, and then suddenly you get a shot like that, and he shows his quality.
Anders Limpar went off while we were seeing that replay, and Kevin Campbell, who is just coming up to his 21st birthday, a forward in whom Arsenal have a lot of belief. He's come on wearing number 14. It's a free kick then to Arsenal. Is there time for one more blitz on the Leeds goal here? Flicked on and away by McAllister. This is Groves. Offside. It was Johnny Giles, I think, yesterday on Grandstand, who said he thought the offsides in this match might prevent it flowing quite as well as it could do. And there have been quite a number, I have to say, but it's commanded the total attention of the crowd, especially in the second half. It's a big battle, this, and it looks as though it's going to go to a second meeting at Elland Road, because we are now into time being added on 4 stoppages by Alan Seville. There goes Chapman. McAllister. And the whistle goes, and Arsenal and Leeds United draw 0-0 and replay at Leeds next Wednesday. And David Seaman makes the save of the afternoon from Gary McAllister, number 10, whose shot was the best we saw. Those two go off with a smile, and so does George Graham. And Howard Wilkinson shakes hands, because those two master tacticians outfoxed each other, really. They couldn't break down the respective defences, and they've got to try and do it all over again. But they'll go home, I think, the crowd, wondering about the Paul Davis effort that was disallowed for offside. But the fact of the matter is, the final score at Highbury is Arsenal 0, Leeds United 0, replay Wednesday.
That means 4 replays.